Hello. Welcome into another episode of Why So Sidious, a nerd podcast. I'm your host, David, and here with me tonight is my co host, JD. Caleb cannot be here due to physical health problems. Thoughts and prayers are out there for him. If he's out in the audience, we hope you're healing up there. We'll have you on next time, but me and JD are going to be tackling this here solo tonight. Tonight, we are going to be covering the 8th episode of Daredevil Born Again, the penultimate, if you will. This is only a 9-episode season, which is kind of a bummer, sitting where we are right now. So we'll be covering episode 8. And then next week, we will be covering the finale with our good friend Andy from the Galactic Core podcast. He will be joining us to discuss the finale, hopefully a Punisher appearance, and overall just the season, how we liked it, coming from fans of the Netflix series. I'm curious to see how everybody received this new, somewhat unofficial continuation of that show. So we'll have Andy on. We'll be talking about it a lot, so stay tuned for that. While you are tuning in, go ahead and check out our most recent episodes. You will notice it is packed with the word Daredevil. So we've been covering Daredevil Born Again this whole way through. We covered Daredevil Volume 1, Chip Zdarsky's run in our Road to Devil's Reign. We had a Daredevil, Best of Daredevil Comics episode with a special guest Illuminati that's out there. We also have our Avengers Doomsday cast reactions and theories episode. So once we got that news about Avengers Doomsday, JD and I hopped on and gave our reactions and our theories for what we think is going to come down the pipeline for that movie. Caleb will get his thoughts out too sooner or later here, maybe in a Week in Geek. There's going to be more Doomsday news dropping, so we're going to be covering it the whole time. We got about a year to cover it. We'll hear what he's thinking and get some of his theories out there as well. And by the way, if you are a fan of Why So Sidious, a nerd podcast, and the Galactic Core podcast, we are celebrating the 2-year anniversary for Andy's podcast, the Galactic Core podcast, this Saturday, April 12th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you're interested in tuning in, we're going to be joining him with a bunch of other podcasts, good friends, Clamber, Andalorian, Lights, Camera, Rant, I believe, and a couple others. So if you're a fan of both of our shows, or if you're not, you want to get to know Andy, head on over there, 4 p.m. So yeah, let's get into this here. We have the 8th episode. I have somewhat of a recap for you. It's not great, though, so full spoilers ahead. We are going to be spoiling everything that happens in this. And we'll go from there. So the episode opens up with a blue rose. I thought Mr. Freeze was maybe going to show up. I was disappointed. He did not. But we did see Bullseye in prison being led to Gen Pop after being isolated. He believes it's a mistake. It is not. We then get Kingpin and Vanessa. They talk, back and forth here and there. We see the demise of Adam. Matt and Heather are discussing the post-Muse murder and how that all unfolded, and we get into a philosophical debate about vigilantes between the two. Kingpin then sends his British Wesley on over to deliver an invitation to Heather, inviting her to the mayor's ball. So that is a major part of this episode here. But right before that, Matt learns that Bullseye has requested his counsel, which kind of opens up a box of worms, a can of worms, a box of whatever you want to call it. It's whatever phrase you want to use. It opens it up for Matt, and he's got to face this anger and resentment that is built up in there that has to do with Bullseye. So that opens up a whole new plot line for us. And then we get into the Kingpin's ball, the mayor's ball. So we see James Gandolfini's son gets a promotion. I should probably learn the kid's actual name one day. We see Jack, Kate's stepfather, popping up at the ball, and then we see some back and forth and some dancing going on when, boom, what do you know, Bullseye is back again, fires off a shot, and shoots Matt while trying to kill Kingpin. And Matt is on the floor bleeding as the episode ends, with all of us wondering, why'd you do that? Why'd you do that, Matt? Why would you do that? So, that was the episode here. Let's just... Overall thoughts. What were your overall thoughts on the episode?
So I really loved it for its tensity and drama. That was the most tense I felt ever since Matt threw Bullseye off the top and Foggy passed away. That was brutal. but man, it felt tense. The drama was just firing on all cylinders. It's just, I mean, we're not going to see much Daredevil. He just got shot in a pretty, it's not like a limb or it's not like a forearm's out of play.
Through the
Uh,
chest.
it's pretty brutal. So, one thing this season lacked is a lot of Daredevil. And when he was on screen, it was actually kind of awkward sometimes, mostly just his swinging. But, so it's almost like the show shined when he's not Daredevil. Unless it was Daredevil versus
Yeah.
Muse was pretty good. But still, he's going to be, it's just the finale, and he just got shot in the chest. So that's kind of a bummer. But yeah, I loved the episode for what it was. Great for a penultimate, very dramatic. I thought they just did a good job with Bullseye the whole time. I was so glad to see Bullseye back, and he's used the way that Warren Ellis used him in the Thunderbolts comics, like just one of the most terrifying people ever, which is so fun. It's such a great way to use Bullseye, and they did that perfectly. It was almost all about Bullseye here. That meeting, getting out, escaping, and then shooting at the end. So I loved it being Bullseye oriented, and yeah, I'm really just curious about the finale with the Daredevil with a bullet in the chest. But
Yeah, that's a good point. So I will say that has been a bit of a bummer overall for this season. Not seeing much Daredevil. We got him in episode 1, which, like you said, I didn't even like his appearance in episode 1. We then got him, not Daredevil really, not suited up. We saw Matt kick some ass a little bit here and there. And then we got Daredevil in 2 episodes, I think. The suit, at least, in back-to-back episodes. The bank robbery, and then the following episode after that, and then him fighting Muse, I guess. So I guess he's been in a few episodes in the first one. So
yeah.
4 out of 8. But it's obviously been very small portions. So that is a bit of a bummer, and I didn't even think about the fact that he just got shot through the chest. So if we do get him, it's probably going to be the fighting with one hand tied behind his back type hero that we're so often used to, instead of just seeing a full power Bullseye. So that is a massive disappointment. Overall, I enjoyed the episode. I will say I enjoyed the episode. I think I would have enjoyed it more if it wasn't the second to last episode. I will say that. But overall, as far as quality goes, I thought it was good quality. I enjoyed it. I thought, they did great with Bullseye. And I love him. I love what they did with him in season 3. So it was really good seeing him to get back. And you're right, dude. Like the one word you would use to describe him is scary. Like everybody, Kingpin's nervous, Vanessa's nervous. Oh shoot, Bullseye's on the loose. Like everybody is nervous because everybody knows what kind of chaos this dude can cause. Like he is the definition of the word deadly, and they do a great job at showing that. So I really, really enjoyed the Bullseye side of this stuff. Heather had a lot of screen time, and I'm not crazy about her right now, so that's dragging me a little bit. And I don't get why Matt jumped in front of the bullet. Now that's not a knock on the show. I think they're gonna explain it. It's just my first reaction was like, oh, what the hell, Matt? But that's not like a ding on the show's quality or the rating or anything like that. So overall, I thought it was a good episode. I just kind of, with only 1 episode left, I felt wanting a little bit more when it ended. But
yeah, man. So I really don't even know what else to say except for Vanessa, I guess. And I don't know. At this point, we should probably just cover a single issue for a cold open or something. That life and death of Foggy Nelson, because now that she's so closely tied to the death of Foggy, that Easter egg just carries so much more weight. I mean, her being tied to a death of Foggy Nelson says enough. But I mean, they put the damn issue number as an address right there. Then they bring Vanessa in how many episodes later. So now I'm really wondering, but now I'm just really wondering how that would benefit her to fake Foggy's death, or what the circumstances were. That might not even have been her, who knows. So I'm really, really, really curious to see how that plays out.
So I totally skipped over that in my recap. Like I said, it wasn't a planned recap. Get off my back about it. But yeah, one of the major aspects of this, when Matt kind of hits that mental conflict when Bullseye reaches out to him, part of the reason is because he's starting to put together it was more than just revenge. He does not believe it was just Bullseye getting revenge on Daredevil's loved ones. It wasn't that simple. And then he starts realizing, wait, he gets pulled into Josie's, into the dive bar they always go to, and Josie reveals what he was drinking that night. And he goes, no, he wasn't drinking that. She goes, he absolutely was drinking that. And he puts together, he was celebrating. So he knew the case that he had going on right there was already a win. So something was going on there. He was involved in something that he knew he was already going to win the case. He was prematurely celebrating, didn't tell anybody about it. So he starts putting stuff together like, wait, there's more of a story to this than what happened. So now he goes to this ball to try and kind of figure out if he can get Kingpin to admit he hired Bullseye, or, you know, figure out who hired Bullseye, because he's starting to realize there's more to this Foggy story than it meets the eye off the surface there. So go all the way back to the first episode we covered when Foggy got shot. If you weren't here for that, JD brought up the story in the comics of who killed Foggy Nelson is the name of it. Is that?
It's the life and death of Foggy Nelson.
The life and death of Foggy Nelson. And essentially it's Foggy faking his death. And that address on that bar shown at the start of this, no, at their law firm shown at the start of this, was the issue number. So if you missed that, there's theories out there that Foggy's death was faked. And yeah, I think this episode really lent a lot of credence to that. We don't know the background, but we do find out, Matt finds out that Vanessa was behind it, that she knows that Bullseye was hired to kill Foggy, and he tries to figure that out before Bullseye attacks again. But he could tell, he felt the heart racing. He got her right when he first asked the question. She pulled away and like tried to run. It was like, okay, so she was involved. So that was interesting. So and we talked about it in our last episode covering the Daredevil, something about Black, the Muse run, Charles Soule.
Oh yeah, there's a lot. It's like Dark Art, Back in Black. Yeah, actually.
One or two. But we talked about that where we were kind of thinking. JD asked me if I thought Foggy was alive now, and I'm starting to definitely be more on that side. I think maybe he is faking it, and we're gonna get a deeper story to that. I think it's gonna tease more of that, kind of almost a cliffhanger at the end of next episode for the finale, and then we're gonna roll into season 2 and figure out why the hell Foggy faked his death. Because I don't think this season 1 story is going to be able to be wrapped up with the next episode. I think it's a 2-season deal. They started off at 20 episodes, and now it's at 9. So I think there was a bigger story they were going to tell there that is now going to, which kind of sucks. And Andy was saying this to me earlier about how it's kind of annoying they just can't tell one full story in a season. Like the Netflix show, each season told a complete story start to finish, and they started a brand new one in the next season.
Yeah.
And now we don't really get that. We get half stories every season. And it's super annoying. It's on par with the shows that drop the first half of one season and then 4 months later drop the second half of the same season. I'm very over that. So I can sympathize with him on that one.
Yeah, 100%. That is really annoying. I guess we're just so happy that the content itself is enjoyable that we're kind of forgetting the fact that that's the world now. Everything's going to be watered down. At least that's Disney's world. It seems to be unchanging so far. That it's going to be the most watered down version. Nothing is complete anymore. That 10 years ago, that was never the case.
Right. Or just, we're never going to get that full satisfaction because they got to keep us on the hook. So we get dope stuff, but we don't get the conclusion yet. It gets drawn out further and further.
Yeah.
All to say, again, I'm still enjoying the show. So I don't want that coming off as if I'm not. But it is just kind of the reality of it. We're probably going to have this storyline spilling into season 2.
Yeah, at least we don't have to wait years like Stranger Things between 3 and 4. Daredevil, we're apparently getting that next year, right?
Next year, yeah.
Yeah, so that's nice.
Awesome. Yeah. Talk about Heather and Matt real quick. I don't want to get into it too much, but how are you liking Heather so far with this?
I liked her at first. I'm really over her at this point. I thought she was going to play a much closer link to Muse and make it less of a coincidence that he happened to find Matt's therapist, but because she talked about masks multiple times. Mm-hmm. So I'm wondering, I don't care, whatever. Is it over yet?
Right. Well, and like I said last episode, Cherry and Heather have kind of taken the place of Foggy and Karen in season 1. So we're getting the same conflicts with Matt and the same conversations of hiding it or the guilt, yada, yada, yada. But after she kills Muse, she's like freaking out, and she calls both him and Daredevil underdeveloped boys hiding behind masks, trying to make it look like something more sophisticated. And Matt's like, that's a pretty dark view. And then she goes on and at that point, I was like, all right, I mean, obviously that's going to get under Matt's skin, but, I see where she's coming from on that. And then she goes on to say that she's the one who killed Muse and that Daredevil didn't save her. He was just there for his own reasons. And at that point, I said, shut up, Heather. I'm shut up. I'm done with you.
Oh,
Daredevil didn't save you. He dove through the window and stopped you from being murdered. So he absolutely did save you. The fact that you're taking the credit and saying that is wild. So right
yeah.
there, I was already kind of like, yeah, I'm kind of over this. And then she said that, and I was like, all right, I don't like you. I don't like you anymore.
Yeah, now that Muse is gone, I feel like her. I mean, she just has the connection to Fisk still, which could play out.
Right.
But I like Kirsten McDuffie a lot more. I think you don't. A new
Yeah.
romance just seems kind of forced unless we see where the story goes in a different way. But like, you could have played a little teasing romance with them like they did in the comics. That would have been better. Her character is just more better on screen. I think her screen time is probably because she's
Yeah.
just there less. She's always just kind of nagging Matt about having to be somewhere. Which, by the way, they bring in that client and Matt just bullies his ass verbally and bounces.
That was
That was
sick.
hilarious. It's fun to see that side of Matt.
That was sick. Well, I know. He's like, dude, we don't. He went on a rant. He's like, we're not serving justice here. We're babysitting chaos. Right after
Yeah,
he ripped that guy, and it
great
was pretty
line.
great. But yeah, I think last thing on Heather, I would not be surprised if we find out she's been on Kingpin's payroll this whole time, and she actually is getting close to Matt based on being connected. I don't know why I get that vibe from her, but I feel like we're gonna get a betrayal vibe coming from her soon.
Yeah, yeah, something significant. Yeah.
Yeah, but young Gandolfini kid gets promoted to deputy mayor of communications. He's obviously his character is starting to grow a little bit. He threatened BB, the niece of Ben Urich, last episode, and then comes up. He's like, "Hey, sorry about that, by the way, but I got promoted, so
He's
you."
hella
And
funny.
she's like, "Oh, no way!" Like, and then just starts having drinks with him. It's like he just threatened you. Okay, well, hey. So kid knows how to wheel and deal the system. He's going.
He's a wild card, dude. I don't know what
Yeah.
his he's gonna also play some kind of role. I don't know. I think he's got a dark fate, like maybe Penguin's buddy.
Yeah, I'm still
I don't.
yeah.
But and BB Urich too. We're getting deeper into that investigation. She's gonna find out. God, that seems like a finale thing right there.
Yeah.
They can't play every single story. Can't play into the next season. My God, they got to tie some bows up with that BB Urich. She's getting close. She pretty much knows Fisk did it, and now she's
Yeah.
got that commissioner or that dude on his side. They're gonna start investigating and they're gonna find stuff.
That's right. Yeah, because he calls her out like, "Oh, when did you become Fisk's propaganda machine?" Everybody with half a brain knows that Daredevil stopped Muse, not the task force. And then she proceeds to kind of tell him like, "No, I know, I get it. I'm playing the game. Here's an email if you want to give me some dirt on Kingpin." So they're gonna start exposing stuff. So that was a cool little. And I like the commissioner when he first got introduced into this. So again, very small plot points. I don't think they're all going to pay off next episode, but they're building up their world building with it. Again, I just kind of wish we had
If
more
you could pick one
episodes.
plot point or one character to either die or one story to be resolved, what do you think that would be? However minor that character story is.
I mean, I would want the Foggy and Bullseye thing to be resolved.
I
I think the
think
task force thing can drag out a little longer, but
okay. Yeah, you got the
you
task
on the
force.
opposite?
No, I don't know what I want. I was just thinking
Okay.
what's most realistic. I think
Oh,
it's like the most realistic would be like um the commissioner. He just got promoted, so I don't think he just die, but like something has to get resolved. So I hope at least BB confronts Kingpin or something like that is in one way a resolution in a way. It might open a completely different door. The task force I think is in the MCU for a while. I wonder if that
yeah,
task force will play into other movies or shows because now
yeah,
they said they already shut down like over a dozen vigilantes, didn't they?
yeah.
So
I mean,
who?
Spider-Man,
Yeah,
the
exactly.
the the agency organization bad people, not the main villain, but the side, the enemy fodder, I think is going to be the anti-vigilante task force. They're in New York. I mean, makes perfect
Yeah,
sense.
but then you got that other cop who is one of those weird characters. He thought he was going to be a douchebag. He is, and he's a bad cop. The guy that Matt beat up, and then
Powell,
he.
yeah,
So you're kind of like he was a very complex character that was definitely on the bad side, but he was acted it way better than I expected him to, like that
yeah,
role that I thought he was going to play. But now he's getting real dark and twisty. He shoves that dude's arm into the fryer. He tells the commissioner to fuck
yeah.
off, and I think that task force, along with Dakota North or Dakota
Cole North.
Cole North, I think they should, at least the core leading team should probably keep showing up in movies. Maybe I don't know if the task
Yeah.
force, if not the task force, like you said, just as action fodder.
No, I agree. It'll kind of be like oh God, what was his name? turned into Crossbones.
Well, yeah, like the Shield.
What was his
kind of
agent's name? Damn.
Crossbones,
Rumlow. Yeah, him and the other dude who popped up in Batman vs Superman with the flamethrower that Batman took out when he was holding Martha Kent up. He was in like 3 MC. He was in Winter Soldier. He was in Civil War.
Right.
No, he wasn't in Civil War, but Rumlow was. But they were also in, I think, Age of Ultron. They popped up in a few different movies. So I agree. I think the same with these Cole North and Officer Powell. I think they're going to be popping up in the MCU.
But then
good.
That's good, but then the only issue is where, not Fantastic Four, maybe Thunderbolts. I mean, honestly, maybe, but
maybe.
I mean, they're in New York for the whole damn thing. It looks like, so you never know. And there's vigilantes. I mean, they stopped dozens of them. We don't even like who, first of all. So they're gonna play a role. I don't know. So we'll see about that. But anyway, and then but then you move into Doomsday where the multiverse is all shifted. So like, what grounded show or project would we ever even see him in? Ironheart, maybe Wonder Man. I don't know, but I don't think so.
It'll be. I think it'll be after almost Secret, or maybe some of the stuff in between, like Spider-Man, because it'll kind of be in between that weird thing. But yeah, no, you're right. So I think maybe an MCU series, and then maybe after Secret Wars when stuff starts kind of. I don't know. I guess that's going to be a whole changing of the guard once Secret Wars is done, so maybe not. But
and like one more point on that is that would be what should build up to a Defenders. Like Netflix did great with Daredevil, but not the Defenders. Would be like perfect build up for Defenders, but that's not happening.
And do it right. That would be awesome.
That'd be crazy. Kingpin as the big bad.
Show. Yeah. Moon Knight, maybe.
Task Force.
I know he's not really a part of it at all, and I just keep trying to shoehorn Moon Knight into stuff. But
Moon Knight, part of Devil's Reign. He was in Devil's Reign. So
yeah, hell yeah. There you go. There you go. But the vigilante thing, they said they did take down a lot. I will say one aspect. I think they're leaning into the fact that there's a ton of vigilantes now, like the D-list vigilantes, like we saw in She-Hulk, Frogman, and all the even lower than White Tiger, like all these randoms. Even Fisk threatens Jack at the ball. Because
that's right.
He goes, I've heard of your work as the swordsman or whatever. He's like, it's like a one-time thing, and like back off, dude. So they're going after big and small vigilantes.
Do you know if is that the same swordsman from the Thunderbolts run?
I don't think so, but that's what I was thinking of. I'm looking up. His name's Jack DeQuesne.
Yeah, that's not the guy. That's not the swordsman.
Swordsman was like Von.
Yes, Strucker something.
Von Strucker's son or nephew or something.
Yes,
he was in his family. Yeah,
that's right. So no connection. We're good.
Jack DeQuesne. Yeah, well, Swordsman was a different character, Jack DeQuesne, in the comics. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, different than the one we're used to, though, for sure.
Yeah.
Interesting. But anyway, so there was something else I wanted. Oh, just
Adam.
Bullseye and Matt, real quick. Well, Adam too, but right before Bullseye and Matt, Bullseye becomes a major part of this, but we got a face-off between him and Bullseye in the prison. So we got a scene between the two, and man, Matt was on a different side of Matt than we really see often, and he's asking him questions, and Bullseye's like, if I stay another night in here, I may not be able to ever answer that for you. And Matt goes full troll. He goes, oh, sweetheart, you want me to file you an appeal? It's like, oh, geez, Matt, take down the sassiness a little bit. They called him sweetheart there. But just starts going off. I don't trust you for a second. Smashes dude's face into the table. Tells the guards he did it himself. And then Bullseye's like, thank you, counselor. And we get another F-bomb drop from Matt. He goes, fuck you.
Damn,
dude. So I thought that was great. And then the sequence with Bullseye breaking off his own tooth and shooting it through the guard's face before savage escape scene. So I really liked the scene between Matt and I guess Benjamin Poindexter's his actual name. And I really liked the breakout scene there. So I thought that was really quality sequence we got there.
Yep. Bullseye was my favorite part of this, man. It was really cool. I mean, that last scene, the production was good, the music, the tense. I mean, everyone's dancing happy, and then the contrasted scary music and Bullseye up there, man. I was like, my grip was tight or something. Sweating, I don't know.
Oh, which, by the way, when Matt listens to sorry, it's kind of random. Another funny part of this, though. Heather's talking to Matt about how he's, like, distracted. You're distant. You're never listening to me. In mid-sentence, he tunes her out to start listening to the rest of the room to try to figure out what's going on with Kingpin and Vanessa. I thought
As
that
the
was
audience wants to do most of her
freaking
scenes.
hilarious. Yes, exactly. That was amazing. But so yeah, he listens to Kingpin and Vanessa, which right before this ball, like you just said, Kingpin shows Vanessa Adam and is like, "Look, I promised you I wouldn't kill him. Look at it, I didn't kill him. He's been chained up, starving. Aren't I a good guy?" And Vanessa goes, "Yeah," and unloads a clip into his face and his chest.
It's crazy.
Any thoughts on that whole sequence there with Adam?
I just love how deep Vanessa's getting into the show. You know, she was a great side character in Netflix, and now she's becoming a main character, Sinister. You know, she like at first I didn't think she was going to, you know, go back into Kingpin's arms at all, and she totally has. But I'm wondering if that's a fake or something. If she's getting close for a different reason, because there does seem to be like she's maybe that was out of obedience. Like, what is she really going to do? Release Adam? Kingpin just said he can't do that. Like, he just pictures his hands all over her. Like, I don't think he's just going to let him go. So she pretty much knew she had to kill him right there. So I can't tell if that's out of genuine, like, I'm with you, or if that's out of, like, I'm going to play my role for now because I have other plans.
Dude, I agree, and I think they're doing that well because I'll go back to last episode where Lub and I weren't sure if Kingpin and Vanessa planned that Luca thing or if that was something Vanessa set up and Kingpin just thwarted it. They didn't. They talked about Luca at the start of this. They didn't 100% acknowledge that they were in on it together. They didn't acknowledge that she did it to set him up either. It seemed more like they were in on it together. They just didn't 100% confirm it. But that just brings me to here. Yeah, I'm still not sold that Vanessa's on Kingpin's side at this point. I almost think we might get the separation of the two at the end of the finale here. And then we get a no holds barred Kingpin going into season 2. I kind of feel like that's where we're going with this.
Yeah. Do you think that now, because we talked about this too, but now do you think that Kingpin sought out Matt's therapist? Please God, that couldn't have been coincidence.
No, that's planned. If it's either he sought her out or again she is on his payroll and it was planned. Like, but I don't think that's just right. I'm hoping for the sake of the writing's quality, and I don't think that was just a coincidence.
Yeah, so that's a weird angle. Who set that up and why? Why would he want to be close to Matt's therapist? It's got to be her, dude. I think it's got to be the therapist. I think you got it.
Also, could be totally unrelated, but Vanessa and Heather were both in all white everything, and I think they were like the only ones on the dance floor in all white. So I noticed that when the dance scene, Matt's dancing with Heather, Kingpin's dancing with Vanessa, they're both dancing with this woman in all white. And I don't know if that was just coincidental or if there's some symbolism there.
I want to go back and see
parallels,
how they met. How did Matt and the therapist meet? I wonder. Because now, now it's just maybe not Kingpin and the therapist, but Vanessa and the therapist, and Foggy's tied into it all somehow. Dude, what the hell?
It could be, dude. I don't know. I think they have a lot of answers to give us there.
Do you remember how they met, though?
I think they were dating already at the start. No,
it was a therapist thing.
Did somebody set them up?
No, a friend set them up. Which it was Kirsten McDuffie.
I think
maybe she's tied into all of it.
Uh-oh.
No, maybe. I mean, maybe we'll see.
No, I'm curious. I need to go back and check that now. But I think they were set up for sure, and I think it was McDuffie. Yeah,
that would be an unlikely.
It was. Yep. Yeah.
That would be an unlikely catalyst for all the villains. Like Kirsten McDuffie was the one behind all of it.
Oh yeah. No, that could be it. Yeah, I don't know. So we'll have to figure that out. But and then last thing, Bullseye tries to kill Kingpin, which is interesting. He was trying to kill Kingpin there, and Matt jumped in front of the bullet. So A, why do you think he's trying to kill Kingpin? B, why do you think Matt jumped in front of the bullet?
Oh, yeah, so I thought I had it figured out. It wouldn't really matter. Covering his tracks wouldn't matter. Kingpin would want Bullseye dead to cover his tracks because he's the one that called the hit, or potentially, whether that's Vanessa or Kingpin. So it was Vanessa, whatever, but killing Bullseye to cover tracks makes sense. So you ask a great question. Why would he go and shoot Kingpin? Wasn't he trying to kill him in Netflix anyway?
Netflix, well, yeah, after he learned that Kingpin killed the girl he was obsessed with, spoilers in season 3, then he tries to kill him in his hotel room and gets very quickly mopped up. But it could make sense if Vanessa paid him and was having him kill Kingpin and arrange the escape there, or just the fact that Bullseye thought he was in protective custody. He got switched to Gen Pop, knew it was Kingpin, and then was just like, screw this fool. If I don't kill him, Kingpin's going to have me killed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's so many twists and turns ways it can go, and that's pretty good writing. That's pretty
Yeah.
good writing. Where there's a lot of cool things I could do with this.
Yeah.
There's gonna be a big like, holy shit, that character was behind it. Whether that's a therapist or Kirsten, yeah, one of them.
Um, you're gonna have to filibuster for me for 30 seconds, and I'll ask you
How,
something.
okay.
Um, brain is not working because I gotta go to the bathroom.
We could wrap it up. You got anything else?
No, I do. I did have one thing I wanted
got
to
you.
throw out there, which is why I was. Come on.
I got you. I'll do some
Yeah.
Kirsten McDuffie background.
There you go.
That?
Talk about Kirsten McDuffie real quick.
I only have a little bit because this comes out of Mark Wade's, and we're gonna do a little reading order. Charles Soule. We've been covering Charles Soule's run that leads to Mayor Fisk, and then Zdarsky's run. These are really good Daredevil runs, highly recommended, but they're really playing into Born Again. But before Charles Soule's run was Mark Wade's run, and I think that's where Kirsten McDuffie was introduced. There was a little bit of a love interest thing going on. She was also the DA assistant attorney or whatever. I think she had the same title, show and comic, but definitely more of a romance dwindling between her and Matt. I don't know how her character ended. I didn't read Wade's Omnibus Volume 2. I read the first half of his run, and Kirsten McDuffie is mentioned in Soule's run, but I haven't seen her since the beginning of Wade's run.
I totally agree.
Or should I say the first half of Wade's run? Yeah, so.
All right.
What's your take on the eco-socioeconomic policy of the dwindling?
Yeah, I think we should frack. Definitely frack. All right. No, there was no hidden meaning to that. Anyways, so thank you for filling us in on Kirsten McDuffie. Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Yeah, I wanted to say something real quick. So that was sick. Justin Benson and Aaron Moorhead, the two guys who did episodes 8, and they did the finale as well, which, by the way, those guys were on Loki. They directed episode 1 of Daredevil, which that kind of makes me nervous now. But they also directed episodes of Loki and Moon Knight. But they stated about this finale episode, they revealed that the finale of Daredevil Born Again will be intensely violent and packed with shocking practical effects. The finale is so brutally tragic, ... a bonanza of bonker visuals. So, sounds like Punisher to me.
Yeah,
you sound
that's the
intensely
first thing.
violent and shocking practical effects. I'm thinking Punisher. And then maybe some crazy bullseye savage kills.
That too. That too.
So it sounds like we're gonna get a wild finale. I just kind of wish it would have gone for both. But does that get your blood going at all hearing that?
That does the way they've created such tense scenarios and drama. I think the finale is going to be explosive. Hearing that it's super violent, and you got an injured Punisher, remember, so he's not going to really be in action. So who else could it be besides Bullseye and Punisher? Are we literally just about to get a full-on Bullseye versus Punisher shoot fest throughout the buildings?
Oh,
of
an
New
injured
York?
Daredevil. You said injured Punisher.
Oh,
God,
my
who
bad.
says the wrong names when talking about
Yeah.
Punisher? That's so
No one's
embarrassing.
ever done that.
I would never do that.
You gotta wonder though. I don't know because what
true.
else could be happening that would be violent? Bullseye going on a killing spree, or Punisher stepping in to help the Daredevil that's just been shot in the chest.
Yeah. I mean, and I really wish it was like an hour and 20-minute episode. So it's only a 57-minute runtime. For comparison, this week's episode 8 was 47 minutes, so it's 10 minutes longer. Shortest episode this year has been the bank robbery episode. It was 39 minutes, which is pretty wild. I didn't even notice it was that short, which means it was a pretty decent episode. But yeah, so we got 57 minutes coming up. So really, really hoping we get a lot packed into this here because I think there's a lot to cover. So
Yeah.
All right. Well, sorry. What stupid sounds so stupid. I was just gonna point out. I noticed something this episode while watching it. I noticed this season is severely lacking in storylines regarding Matt's faith. His Catholic faith is a large part of his character, and in the Netflix series, it's massive. The priest role, his wrestling with if he's doing the right and wrong thing. big focal point. Now, I'm not Catholic, but I do kind of miss that storyline just because I thought it was always written very well and it added unique aspects that we don't really see in typical superhero projects. So that it was one noticeable thing this season so far that's kind of been missing from your typical Daredevil stories is I don't know that he's mentioned his faith once in this.
Well, yeah, and he's been so dark. He's treating clients like shit. He's slamming Bullseye's face and lying about it. He's like a dark.
Yeah,
I wonder if faith
true.
will play into the bringing the good side of Daredevil back, like bringing the light back, bringing that red suit back. Because he's going to go in the black suit. It's going to get darker, I think. So maybe that faith will bring our hero back, kind of like twisting from Shadowland to Mark Waid's comic book run, where it was notably very optimistic, a very change of vibes for Daredevil, and somehow it worked out. Optimistic Daredevil doesn't seem like the right storytelling, but it totally worked out. Anyway, yeah, maybe the faith will play a role into his returning to a good hero.
Yeah, no, that's a great point. Maybe I think his mom is still alive. Maggie, the nurse, sister Maggie, not the nurse, the sister. He found that out to be his mom in season 3. I don't think she got killed, so maybe she's still alive and brings him back to the light side of things. But
Yeah.
Well, we will see. That wraps it up here, though, for our coverage of Daredevil Born Again, Episode 8. Again, we will be covering the finale. Andy from the Galactic Core podcast will be guest starring with us here. So it'll be a good time. You'll get to hear his takes on Daredevil as a whole. He was supposed to join us for our coverage of Daredevil Season 2 on Netflix, but there was a hurricane warning, and then Love didn't finish the season. So we'll get back to that later. But yeah, he'll be joining us for this episode. So stay tuned for that. Stay tuned to our socials to see when we're going to be having that live show. And join us live. Let's see your feedback. What did you think of this season of Daredevil? So thank you very much for joining us. And shout out to the audience. Shout out to JD. And we will see you next time on Why So Sidious, a Nerd Podcast.
I'm dying of heat
Love
and thirst.
Love left stuff in the chat, but literally none of it was useful that I could say anything. He was just trash talking in the chat. Yeah, but which, by the way, the foot excuse.
Wait, what's the foot excuse?
Well, the reason why he didn't record with us tonight because he said his foot was hurting.
Yeah, is he like, dude? Is he falling out or what?
Good thing you don't need your feet to record.